All right, so get this. We're diving into an audio wellness diary today.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It's like someone just decided to record every single detail of their health and fitness routine, and, well, we get to listen in.
I'm intrigued already.
Now, before you think we're about to sit here and judge someone else's choices, that's not what we're doing.
Right, right.
The real fun here is trying to spot those little wellness trends,
Mm,
picking up some mindset tips along the way.
yeah.
And who knows, maybe we'll even uncover some surprises. What do you think? Have you ever come across something like this before?
It's so interesting to get this kind of raw, unfiltered view, Like we always see these perfect curated Instagram posts about wellness,
Oh, totally.
but this is like peeking behind the curtain and seeing what a real routine actually looks like.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And guess what? Our diarist starts her day with something super familiar.
Okay, what's that?
The 5-minute journal. Gratitude's front and center. But I've always wondered, does writing down what you're grateful for actually do anything?
Well, think of it like this. Even if you force yourself to smile, and just like fake a smile, it can actually release a bit of dopamine.
Really?
Yeah, that feel-good chemical. So even if you're not actually feeling super grateful at first, just the act of writing it down might like shift your mindset a
Oh,
little
interesting.
and boost your mood. It's like almost tricking your brain into happiness.
I like that. Fake it till you make it, right?
Exactly.
Okay, speaking of things that make you feel good, this wellness enthusiast
Yeah.
is all about hydration.
Oh, good, good.
Constantly refilling that trendy Stanley tumbler.
Yeah, yeah. Staying hydrated is super important, no doubt about it. But what I find interesting is just how much she's drinking.
Yeah.
Like, is it all driven by this hydration is everything trend, or is it really about actual need? What are your thoughts on all the hype around electrolyte drinks and stuff?
Oh, it's a huge market, that's for sure. I've definitely tried some of those myself. But, and here's where things get a little contradictory. She follows up all that water with a Celsius energy drink. Healthy routine, but energy drinks. I'm a little puzzled.
Huh. Yeah, it really makes you think, what does healthy even mean anymore these days?
Right.
Celsius, they market themselves as a healthier option compared to like those traditional energy drinks, but they're still loaded with caffeine and all sorts of other stimulants. It's a bit of a gray area, isn't it? Have you ever tried those?
Yeah, I have. And honestly, I'm always a bit wary of all the marketing around them. But again, let's move on to the grocery haul. She does a big weekly restock, and fresh produce is definitely the star.
Okay, that's good. That commitment to fresh fruits and veggies, that's a great sign. That's like the foundation of a healthy diet.
For sure.
But I'm also seeing a lot of prepackaged health foods. It would be interesting to know like what's the actual nutritional breakdown of some of those?
Yeah, good point.
Are they really as healthy as the packaging makes them seem?
Exactly. We often get so caught up in the packaging and the branding, don't we? Oh, and she did throw in some hot Cheetos. Gotta love the honesty. Now let's look at some of the more interesting things in the cart. Love Crunch Granola. What a name.
No, I love that. It definitely catches your attention, right?
Yeah.
I wonder if I wonder if this kind of playful branding is a way to make healthy eating feel less, I don't know, less intimidating maybe.
Hmm. That's interesting.
Especially for younger generations maybe.
Makes you think for sure. Next up, wellness shots. One for gut health and one with zinc. Those seem to be everywhere these days.
Yeah, they really are. But, instead of just focusing on the zinc, I'd be more interested in why she chose these specific shots. Is she
Mhm.
worried about some kind of deficiency? Is it a convenience thing? Or is she just buying into the hype?
Yeah, it's so easy to get swept up in all those trends. And then there's protein bars. She usually goes for Cliff or RX bars, but this time she's trying a new brand recommended by Girls Gone Bible. And she specifically mentioned being impressed by the simple ingredients.
Oh, interesting. This focus on ingredient transparency, that's definitely a trend we're seeing everywhere.
Totally.
Like people are really starting to pay attention to what they're putting into their bodies, like actually reading labels and choosing things with whole food ingredients they recognize. What about you? Are you a label reader?
Oh, absolutely. It's amazing what you find sometimes. Okay, so it's time for food prep. She whips up a bean salad, and lucky for us, she actually linked the recipe.
Nice. Bean salads are a great way to get plant-based protein and fiber. Simple, budget friendly.
Yeah, yeah.
And it fits right in with that whole trend of plant-based eating that's becoming so popular. I wonder if she's intentionally trying to eat more plant-based meals or if it's more about, convenience and taste for her.
That's a good question. Okay, now here's something that caught my eye. Dinner isn't until almost 8 p.m. Is that strategic? Or just her schedule, what do you think?
It's definitely later than usual. Could be unintentional, but it also could be that she's doing some kind of like intermittent fasting or time-restricted eating. Those have gotten really trendy lately. Have you ever tried that?
I haven't, but I know it's super popular. It's all about like timing your meals to improve your metabolism, right?
Exactly. You create these specific windows of eating and fasting, and it can potentially help with things like blood sugar control, weight loss, even cellular repair, they say. It's a really interesting area of research, but the science is still kind of evolving.
There's a lot to unpack there. Okay, gym time. She chooses the 12-3-30 workout,
Hmm.
walking on a treadmill at an incline of 12, speed 3 for 30 minutes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've heard of that.
Simple, effective, and it seems to be pretty trendy these days.
It is, and for good reason.
Yeah.
Walking, especially at an incline, it's so good for Great for your heart, burns calories, and it's something pretty much anyone can do regardless of their fitness level. But I am a little curious about her always choosing the treadmill. It makes me wonder if she's maybe, like, avoiding more challenging types of exercises. What do you think?
Hmm, that's a good point. I wonder if there are any underlying limitations she's dealing with, or maybe she just gravitates towards what feels comfortable. Okay, there's this little internal struggle here. She wanted to go to the gym earlier, but ended up sleeping in. That classic battle between rest and discipline. Any advice on finding that balance?
Oh, it's a constant struggle, honestly. Consistency is key for building good habits, but so is listening to your body and prioritizing rest. Sometimes sleep wins, and that's okay. It's about finding that sweet spot where you're pushing yourself, but not burning yourself out.
Yeah.
What about you? Do you ever struggle with that?
Oh, all the time. It's a constant negotiation in my head.
Yeah.
Now, this one is interesting. She uses red light at night. I've heard about this, but what is the deal with red light therapy?
Oh, yeah. It's become a really popular trend for sleep. The idea is that red light, unlike the blue light from our phones and computers, doesn't mess with your melatonin production.
Ah, okay.
Melatonin is the hormone that helps regulate our sleep cycle.
So it's all about optimizing those sleep hormones,
Sure.
which is like crucial for everything.
Exactly. Sleep impacts your energy, your mood, how well you think, even your immune system. Getting enough quality sleep is like foundational for feeling good.
Okay, let's move on to skincare and self-care. She starts with, you guessed it, the 5-minute journal again, showing that consistency.
Love that.
Then it's on to a serum, gua sha, it's a whole routine.
It's interesting how much detail she puts into it, her routine.
Mm-hmm.
It makes me think that skincare is more than just like a superficial thing for her. It's like a form of self-care.
Yeah,
A ritual where she's really prioritizing her well-being. And using tools like gua sha, that suggests she's into exploring different techniques and trends.
for sure. She mentions using a serum with niacinamide, which seems to be the it ingredient right now.
Oh, niacinamide is having a moment, and there's a good reason. It's a form of vitamin B3 that can do so much good for your skin.
Oh, wow.
Like it can reduce inflammation, make your pores look smaller, even at your skin tone.
So it's not just hype.
No, no, there's real science behind it. Dermatologists recommend it all the time.
Good to know. Okay, I have to ask about this. She's very diligent about applying SPF even on a cloudy day, which is great.
Yeah.
But then she mentions hitting her face to help with circulation. I'm not quite sure what to make of that. Have you ever heard of that?
I haven't, and honestly, it doesn't sound like a good idea. Gentle facial massage that can be good for lymphatic drainage and blood flow,
Okay.
but hitting your face seems a bit extreme, maybe even harmful.
Yeah.
I think it's a good reminder that not all wellness trends are good trends. Some can be downright dangerous.
Absolutely. Always good to do your research.
Hmm.
Now, for a lighter moment, she rediscovers a rare beauty blush and gets all excited about using it again. It's kind of sweet, actually.
Ah, I love that.
Yeah.
It reminds us that we don't always need the newest, shiniest things to feel good.
Yeah.
Sometimes rediscovering something you already have and appreciating it can bring just as much joy, if not more.
It's such a good point, especially with all the pressure to constantly buy new things these days. It's about finding contentment with what we already have. Okay, let's talk about a key takeaway here. Energy givers and drainers.
Yeah.
She's not just focused on the actions, but also what fuels or depletes her energy, both physically and mentally.
Oh, that's so important.
Yeah.
Understanding what energizes you and what drains you is key to creating a lifestyle that actually supports your well-being. It's about becoming more in tune with your own needs and making choices that really align with them.
I love that. She starts by listing fruit as her go-to for natural sugar energy. But this ties back to the Celsius earlier. There's a bit of a complex relationship with energy here, it seems.
Totally. It's not as simple as just sugar equals energy. Fruit does have natural sugars, but it also has fiber, vitamins, minerals, antioxidants. All those things contribute to giving you sustained energy, unlike that quick burst and crash you might get from like a processed energy drink.
Ah, so it's about the quality of the energy source, not just the sugar itself. That's interesting. Next up, sleep, which we already talked about. Essential.
Can't emphasize it enough. Not sleeping enough just messes with your whole body and mind. It affects your mood, your focus, your immune system, everything.
I'm definitely feeling that right now. Okay, she mentions a clean environment as a major energy giver, highlighting that connection to mental health.
Yeah, your environment can really impact how you feel mentally. A cluttered, chaotic space can make you feel stressed and overwhelmed, but a clean, organized space can actually help you feel calmer and clearer. It's about creating a space that supports your mental well-being.
Like decluttering your mind, but decluttering your space. I love that. Then there's faith and meditation. How do those fit into this picture?
Well, faith and meditation, they're very personal and individual, but they can be so powerful for finding inner peace, managing stress, and connecting to something bigger than yourself.
Yeah.
And the benefits of mindfulness and meditation in particular, they're well documented, you know?
Yeah.
They can reduce anxiety, improve focus, help you feel better emotionally overall. Do you have any experience with these practices?
I've dabbled in meditation, but haven't found a consistent practice yet. I'm always impressed by people who can make it a regular part of their lives. She also talks about romanticizing her routine, making healthy choices feel more enjoyable, not like a chore.
Oh, that's a game changer. When you can make healthy choices feel good, you're much more likely to actually stick with them. It's about shifting your perspective,
Hmm.
finding joy in the process, not seeing it as a burden.
It's about self-care, not self-punishment.
Yeah.
But she does add in this line, sometimes you just have to force yourself. Discipline versus motivation, that's a constant battle.
Oh, it is, absolutely. Finding the right balance between willpower and building sustainable habits, that's a big part of this whole journey. While there are times when you need to rely on discipline to push yourself, it's also important to find ways to make those healthy choices feel less like, ugh, I have to, and more like a natural part of your life.
Right, it's about finding what works for you, for your personality, your
Ugh.
lifestyle.
Exactly. There's no one-size-fits-all approach. It's
Yeah.
all about experimenting, figuring out what you actually enjoy and what you can stick with for the long haul. Now back to the gym. It's glutes day, and she's back at it, showing that consistency we were talking about.
To stay, huh?
Yep. She's all about those glutes, which is a huge trend in fitness right now. Even mentions that Wednesdays are glutes day at her gym.
Interesting.
Yeah. And it's not just about how it looks.
Right.
Strong glutes are so important for supporting your core and lower back, which can prevent injuries, especially as you get older. It's about building functional strength.
Yeah. Function, Andy form, best of both worlds.
Mm-hmm.
She mentions that all the Stairmaster machines were taken, so she ends up back on the treadmill.
Ah, even with the best intentions, life happens, you know? It's about being adaptable and finding ways to move your body, even when your original plan gets messed up. Good reminder that any movement is better than none.
So true. Sometimes you got to get creative.
Exactly. And you know, she actually says we overcomplicate things, which I think is such a great point.
Yeah, for sure.
Sometimes we get so caught up in all the trends and complicated routines that we forget about the basics.
Keeping it simple. Okay, let's move on to her evening routine. 5-minute journal makes another appearance. The commitment to reflection and gratitude is impressive.
Love that.
Then she's into her skincare with, you guessed it, a niacinamide serum.
Of course, she's a big fan. But you know what I find interesting is that she really emphasizes putting on SPF even on a cloudy day.
Mm-hmm.
That shows a real understanding of how important sun protection is. It's something people often forget about.
Absolutely. One of the best things you can do for your skin, rain or shine. But then we have this moment where she talks about hitting her face for circulation. I'm still a little lost on that one.
Yeah, that one's a head scratcher. Gentle facial massage, sure, that can be beneficial, but hitting just doesn't sound safe or effective at all. It's a good reminder to always be critical of the information you come across, especially when it comes to your health.
Right. Not all trends are created equal.
Exactly. And sometimes it's best to talk to a professional before trying anything that seems a little, well, questionable.
Absolutely. And to end on a lighter note, she rediscovers a rare beauty blush and is so excited about using it again. I feel that.
Oh, I love those moments. It's like finding buried treasure in your own makeup bag.
Totally.
You don't always need to buy new stuff to feel good. Sometimes it's about rediscovering the things you already have.
It's such a good reminder to, like, appreciate what we already own. especially in a world we're constantly bombarded with messages to buy more, buy more, buy more. This deep dive into a wellness diary has been so thought-provoking. We're seeing trends, mindset shifts, and a whole lot of contradictions, which is what makes it so interesting. Back again for more of this wellness diary. I'm really starting to notice some interesting things, like how much she focuses on mental health. It's not just about, like, the physical stuff.
Yeah, it's subtle, but it's definitely there. Like how she talks about needing a clean environment to feel good.
Right. Tidy space, tidy mind, as they say.
Exactly. But I'd be curious to know what taking care of her mental health actually means for her.
Yeah, what does that look like?
Is it therapy? Mindfulness exercises? Spending time outdoors? There's so much that could fall under that umbrella.
I agree. It would be helpful to know the specifics. And she also mentions faith and meditation, which I guess also play a role in her mental well-being.
Right, right. And, whether someone is religious or not, a lot of those practices incorporate elements of mindfulness, which has all those proven benefits for stress reduction and overall well-being.
Hmm.
Makes me wonder, is this a conscious effort to be more mindful, or is it more tied to tradition for her? What do you think?
Tough to say. But I'm leaning towards conscious, especially with all that talk about energy givers and drainers.
Oh, yeah, good point.
She seems really aware of what impacts her mentally and emotionally. Speaking of which, remember how she talked about romanticizing her routine?
Oh, yeah, making healthy choices feel enjoyable instead of like a chore.
Exactly. It
That
really stuck with me.
It's so smart.
Yeah,
By attaching those positive feelings to healthy habits, it makes them so much more sustainable. Instead of forcing herself, she's finding ways to actually enjoy it. It's like a totally different mindset.
absolutely. It's almost like tricking yourself into liking the stuff that's good for you.
Exactly.
But she does say sometimes you just have to force yourself. So, it's not always easy.
Of course not. There are going to be days when motivation is low and you just need to rely on discipline. But finding that balance, that's the key.
Absolutely.
It's not about being perfect. It's about finding what works for you as an individual.
Totally. And let's not forget that honesty about the hot Cheetos cravings.
Oh, yeah. Love that.
It's refreshing to see someone so health conscious, still allowing themselves to enjoy those little indulgences.
It's a good reminder that healthy living isn't about depriving yourself. It's about finding that balance.
Exactly. Speaking of balance, that late dinner still kind of throws me off. Almost 8 p.m.
Yeah, it's definitely later than most people. Could be her schedule, or it could also be intentional, like she's doing some form of intermittent fasting or time-restricted eating,
Right, right.
which, have become super popular lately. They're all about creating these specific windows for eating and fasting, which can have all sorts of benefits for your metabolism and weight management.
So it's not just what she's eating, but when she's eating it.
Exactly. It's about syncing up your eating patterns with your body's natural rhythms. And, while intermittent fasting has gotten a lot of attention, I do wonder about the potential downsides.
Yeah, what about those?
Like, is it really sustainable long term? Could it potentially lead to, like, disordered eating habits for some people?
Those are good questions.
It's important to consider those things, especially when we're talking about something as essential as food.
We can't just take these trends at face value. There's always more to consider.
Hmm.
Okay, back to the gym. It's glutes day again. And she's hitting the weights, showing that consistency.
It's great that she's making strength training a priority and focusing on her glutes specifically. Strong glutes are important for so many things. Good posture, better athletic performance, preventing back pain. But I am noticing this pattern of sticking to the same exercises.
Yeah, she's doing a lot of those same moves.
It seems like maybe she's not really pushing herself or trying anything new.
That's an interesting observation. Maybe it's just what she enjoys, but it could also be like a fear of failure or a lack of confidence in trying new things.
Right, right. It makes you think about what's really driving our fitness choices. Are we
Yeah.
actually trying to improve, or are we just going through the motions?
So many layers.
Yeah.
And remember, she mentioned that all the Stairmaster machines were taken, so she ended up on the treadmill again.
Sometimes life throws you a curveball. It's all about being adaptable and finding ways to move your body even when your original plan doesn't work out.
True, true.
It's a good reminder to have a backup plan. If you can't do your preferred workout, what's a realistic alternative that you can still feel good about?
Be prepared for those moments when things don't go exactly as planned. Okay, let's move on to her evening routine. 5-minute journal, check. She's really sticking with that reflection and gratitude practice. And then it's on to skincare with, you guessed it, a niacinamide serum.
She loves that niacinamide. But what's really catching my attention is how she stresses putting on SPF, even on a cloudy day.
Yeah,
It shows a real understanding of how important sun protection is no matter what.
absolutely. SPF every day, rain or shine. It's non-negotiable. And then there's that moment where she mentions, hitting her face to improve circulation. Still not quite sure about that one.
Yeah, me neither. Gentle facial massage, sure, but hitting just doesn't seem safe or effective. It reminds us to be careful about the information we come across and to maybe check with a professional before trying anything that seems, well, a little off.
Absolutely. Always good to do your research. And just to lighten things up, she rediscovers a rare beauty blush and gets all excited about using it again. So relatable.
Love those moments. It's like finding buried treasure in your own makeup bag.
Totally. You don't always need the newest, latest thing to feel good.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's about appreciating what you already have.
Exactly.
And in a world that's constantly telling us to buy more, buy more, buy more, that's a really important reminder.
Absolutely. It's about finding joy in the simple things, like rediscovering a favorite blush.
Okay, so final thoughts on this wellness diary. I have to say, it's really got me thinking about my own approach to all this health and well-being stuff.
Yeah, me too. It's been so interesting to hear about her routines, her mindset, all those little contradictions.
Absolutely. And for me, what really stands out is just how wellness isn't about reaching some finish line. It's an ongoing thing.
Yeah, totally. It's a journey, not a destination.
Exactly. There can be ups and downs, times when you experiment with different things, times for discipline, and times for, well, indulging a little.
hmm It's not about being perfect, it's about making progress. And I think she really shows that.
Yeah, I totally agree. She's clearly putting in the effort to take care of herself, both physically and mentally.
Right.
But she's also not afraid to be real about the struggles, the not so perfect moments. It makes her seem so relatable, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. It just shows that there's no one right way to do wellness. What works for one person might not work for another. It's all about figuring out what feels good for you, what you can actually keep up with, what fits your values.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So as we wrap up this deep dive,
Yeah.
what are your final thoughts? What really stuck with you?
Hmm. I think the big thing for me is that wellness is personal.
Okay. Yeah.
We shouldn't just blindly follow trends or try to copy someone else's routine.
Right.
It's so important to understand our own bodies, what we like, and how we actually define wellness for ourselves.
Hmm.
Like, what gives us energy? What drains us? What makes us feel good? Those are the questions we need to ask.
Such a good question.
Yeah.
And it goes back to what we were talking about with energy givers and drainers. I love how she made a point of saying, these are the things that fuel me and these are the things that totally wipe me out.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
a very self-aware approach, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And it's something we can all learn from.
Yeah.
Just taking a little time to figure out what those things are for you, it can really help you make better choices throughout your day.
Totally. I'm definitely going to be more mindful of that myself.
Yeah.
Okay, before we go, got to ask, what about this whole that girl thing?
Oh, yeah.
We saw so many elements of that trend in this diary, the smoothies, the workouts, the emphasis on self-care. But what does it all actually mean?
It's an interesting question, for sure. On the one hand, it's great that people are prioritizing their health and well-being.
Hmm.
But on the other hand, there's this danger of comparing yourself to others, of trying to reach some ideal that's not even realistic.
Right.
We have to remember that what we see on social media, it's often just a carefully crafted version of reality.
Oh, absolutely. Social media is the highlight reel. It's so easy to look at that and feel like you're not doing enough. But real wellness isn't about being perfect. It's about the journey, even with all the messy, imperfect parts.
Exactly. And finding joy along the way instead of constantly chasing some goal that's always just out of reach.
Well said. All right, so to wrap things up, just want to leave our listeners with one final thought. Remember, even when we totally dissect a wellness diary like we did, it's still just one person's experience.
Yeah.
Your journey is your own. And the most important thing is finding what works for you, what makes you feel good, what helps you live a healthier, happier life.
Absolutely. Don't be afraid to experiment, try new things, adjust your routine, and, define what wellness means to you.
Perfect. Thanks for joining us as we explore this real-life wellness journey. It's been fun.
Yeah.
Until next time, stay curious, stay mindful, and stay well.